Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to compare Hornady 75 grain boat tail hollow point bullet with two powders. I'm going to shoot 21 grains of IMR3031 and 22.3 grains of accurate 2460. All right, so let's get started. I'm using Remington 6.5 small rifle primers. I'm letting my powder dispenser warm up while I do my priming. I'm using the Frankfurt Arsenal handheld priming tool, and I recently had to do a return with Winchester because I had a bunch of malfunctioning primers, and Winchester sent specific instructions along with those and basically said, do not store primers in bulk. They can interact with each other, and if one goes off, it has the power to set the others off as well. And they said only store them in their regular packaging. I have never done that. If I open a pack and only use half of them, I'm not going to insert each one back into the tray it came out of. But I think you should follow their advice. I only had 43 pieces of matching Hornady brass for this, so I'll shoot 20 of the IMR and 20 of the accurate 2460, and I'll use these three for barrel warmers. But I have other brass that I could have used, but this is all Hornady head stamped, and this is all mixed head stamped, and I don't want to get the two mixed up, so we're keeping Hornady separate. All right, so they're all primed, at least the ones that we're going to shoot. So we can put our priming tool away. And now we're ready to charge some cases. And for that, I have the Hornady Auto Charge Pro. And it has been sitting here warming up while I did the primers. So it needs to be calibrated first, and then it will be ready to go. So we're going to hit 0, calibrate. And it's asking for a 10-gram weight, so I'll put that on there. It weighs 10 grams. And that lasts for a 50 grain weight. So I'll place the 50 grain weight on the scale. It weighs 50 grains. I remove it, and it tells me pass. All right. So before I dispense the powder, I put this little pencil eraser into the tube because otherwise this stuff can run out of the tube while you're filling it. So we're going to start with the IMR 3031. And we're going to start at 21.2 grains. So target 21.2, enter, 21.2 reading. Remove the eraser, set the pan, 0 the scale. Oh, and now we hit dispense. Overcharged, enter. Don't go over. 21.2. Drop the charge. Move the funnel. Okay, we got the IMR 3031 all loaded, so now we got to switch to 2460, which means I have to unload the dispenser. Okay, but I think we got it. So we already calibrated it. We don't have to do that again. But now we're going to close up the IMR3031. A few little kernels here. Blow them away. I'm going to put my eraser back in. This is a ball powder. This Accurate 2460. If that gets spread on the table, anything on top of it is going to roll like it's on ball bearings. Okay, and we have to also change the target to 22.3. 223. How about that? We're shooting 223 and we're loading with 223 grains of powder. And I'm going to hit dispense. There it comes, super fine. And we'll have 20 of these to load, and then we'll be ready to seat the bullets. I'm going to jinx myself, but we haven't had any overcharges on the 223 or 22.3 grains of 2460. Overcharge. Shouldn't have said it. And we do a visual inspection to make sure every case is charged. And they are. So now we're going to put away this powder. Normally, if I was just loading one powder, I would probably just set it aside and leave it in case I accidentally bumped the tray and spill some, had to recharge some. But I've got two different powders here, so I'm going to go ahead and unload this. Okay, so we will close this, set this aside, we'll unplug it, and we are done with this. The last time I seeded bullets, I was seeding a 52 grain that seats at 2.23 inches. This time we're using a 75 grain, and it's going to seat longer at 2 1/4. So we're going to back off this one a bit to start with. Lay my towel out as always. Dump the bullets. Turn them all facing the same direction. Make them easier to pick up so I don't fumble around with them. Drop one. I think we're ready. Grab the first case, put it in the shell holder, slip in a bullet. Let's hope we're close. 2.33. 2.250. There we go. So that's how we're going to seat them. All right, so there's 43 loaded up, ready to be bagged up, taken to the range and shot. All right, welcome back to the Georgia Gun Club 100-yard indoor rifle range. And I'm going to be shooting two 20-shot groups. These are the ones that you just saw me reload. I have 20 rounds of 75 grain boat tail hollow point loaded with 21.2 grains of IMR3031 powder, and I have 20 rounds loaded with 22.3 grains of accurate 2460. We'll be shooting two 20-shot groups of each at 100 yards, and I'll start off with 3 barrel warmers before I begin. So as always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results at the end. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, there's two 20-shot groups. Let's bring them in and see how we did. I think they look okay for 20 shots. This was my fouling group. So after this, I adjusted the scope 2 clicks to the right. And of course, it definitely was shooting right. I should have just left it alone. So these are clustered pretty well together right here and right here. So even though I adjusted it 2 clicks to the right, apparently it moved way to the right. And of course, this is a different powder, so you can expect it to shoot differently. But we will take these home, measure them, compare them, and see how we did. I'm measuring these groups with the Hornady 4DOF ballistics app using their group analysis feature. Here are my results from the range today, testing two different loads using a Hornady 75 grain boat tail hollow point bullet. I'm shooting two 20-shot groups each, and this is to verify the accuracy of something that we had found before. So I have found that shooting 75 grain boat tail hollow point bullets, I had a good load at 21.2 grains of IMR 3031, and on the accurate 2460, some of my best loads were from 21.5 to 22.7 to 22.8. So I averaged those and I came up with 22.3, and that's what I shot for the accurate 2460 powder. So we're looking not just at group size, but when you shoot a 20-shot group, what you're looking for is not just your extreme spread, because the group size, okay, on the 21.2 IMR 3031, the extreme spread was 1.37. And that really, to me, is not bad, considering that you've got 20 shots that you're firing, because there are going to be flyers. And as you can see, there are flyers here, here, and here. But this area here was completely eaten up with the impacts. And so we basically shot, this was the point of aim, was the center of this crosshair. we shot 4/10 high and 1/3 of an inch to the right, and we had an extreme spread of 1.37. But look at this. Our mean radius with 20 shots was 0.35 inches. I laid this on a piece of paper, and between this vertical line and this horizontal line, that's your average point of impact right there. And so what I did is I drew a circle with a radius of 0.35 inches. And so this is basically this little semicircle, and it's kind of eaten up in here because of the shots. But that's basically your group size, your average group size. And 35 hundredths of an inch, that's your radius. So to get the circle size, you multiply that times 2, and that gives you a 0.70. So with 20 shots of this IMR3031 powder at 21.2 grains with a 75 grain boat tail hollow point bullet, I averaged a group size of 0.70 inches. So very pleased with that. And then when you drop down and you take a look at the accurate 2460, this shot pretty well also. Now, my very first shot was right here. This was my point of aim, and it was shooting high and to the right. But I couldn't even tell where this one hit because it was inside of this dark area here. And there are actually 2 impacts right there. And then the rest of the group is over here. So we had a 1.96 extreme spread. That's from here to here. And we had a mean radius of 0.49. Now, if you back out those 2 flyers right there and take that out, then the group size becomes 1.32 inches with an average mean radius of 0.39. And of course, if you double that, that becomes 78. So you would have a just under an 0.8 of an inch group size average minus those. As you can see right here, we had a mean radius of 0.49 counting all of the shots. And if you double that, that means your average group size is 1 inch. So if you're shooting a 1 inch target at 100 yards, you've got a pretty good chance of hitting that target. And you also see that it was about 3/4 of an inch high and just over 0.8 of an inch to the right. So these both seem to me to be pretty good loads. I would recommend either one of these. I'm shooting, of course, a Tikka T3X 223 rifle. And every rifle is going to be different. 2 rifles manufactured on the same assembly line the same day, one right after another, could shoot differently. You have to find what works for your rifle. But these seem to work well for me. I'm going to continue to focus here, maybe work at 21 grains and see how that performs. But I like these 20 shot groups, and I like the information that they give me. You can shoot a 3-shot group or a 5-shot group, and you'll pretty much find that the 5-shot group will always be bigger than your 3-shot group. On occasion, that might not be the case. But if you're measuring just extreme spread, you're only looking at 2 data points. Whereas when you look at this, every single data point counts, and it all figures into your average. So you've got more information here. So I hope you find this information helpful, and I hope you'll start shooting some larger groups. So if you have any ideas or thoughts about this video, please feel free to leave a comment below. Or if there's anything that you would like to see in the future, please let me know that. I always try to interact with everyone who comments. And I hope that you will like and share this with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.